Which European country is it that's holding out, that doesn't want to cut off Russia from the SWIFT banking system? Because we hear President Biden say that, it's Europeans, and we have the Europeans saying that. I mean, who is it?
I don't know.
And why?
I feel like they're taking. Let's bring in retired Brigadier General for the U.S. Army, Anthony Tata, and West Point Academy grad, retired Major Mike Lyons. General, I'll ask you, when you're talking about sanctions, how hard is it to get everybody to go on board? Because I get the feeling that we're not actually going all in on sanctions.
Yeah, so this is right up my old job as a policy guy for DOD. There's a working group that recommends sanctions to the president, and what we have seen, and State Department is the lead agency on this type of diplomacy, this element of national power, and frankly, Blinken has not been, up to par, in the last year as Secretary of State, right. And the Treasury plays a role here as well. And what we're seeing is very, in my opinion, tepid set of sanctions. This is war by adjectives. Most important, the biggest, most severe, most significant, and we get to that point when in fact the only thing that really will make a difference is all the sanctions, you have to do that, but also Putin needs to see the resolve of a unified front, and what you just mentioned, that there's a holdout on the SWIFT sanctions, and Biden wouldn't talk about whether or not he's going to sanction Putin personally. If that were Trump, it'd be, he's got ties to Putin, doesn't want to hurt Putin, all of that. And so where is the cacophony of the media jumping down Biden's throat about his ties to Putin and not wanting to upset Putin, and he's just Putin's puppet? And the other thing he could do is open the Keystone XL pipeline. He was frankly dishonest during his press conference, where he said he was going to do everything he could to help the American consumer, help the man and woman on Main Street, when in fact he's not. He's just not telling the truth. Yeah. And it's really upsetting to see that we are again fumbling our way through this, and he thinks that he's got the tailwinds. He knows he's got the tailwinds of the press behind him, and so they'll paper over anything like the Putin, the lack of resolve against Putin, and the lack of opening the Keystone XL pipeline.
Yeah, let me get Major Lyons in here. Major Lyons, another question that President Biden was asked in that what became a news conference there at the end, where he did finally take some questions about what's going on. He was asked about sanctions versus what Russia is doing there on the ground in Ukraine right now, and are sanctions as devastating as what Russia is doing in Ukraine? And he answered, yes, sanctions are as devastating as Russian missile and tanks in Ukraine. Do you believe that that Putin sees it that way?
Yeah, I just don't think that's true. I think that we're looking at a lot of ways. They've got a lot more capabilities. We've been measuring his intent over the past few months. In the short term, that's not the case. And I think so far, in fact, I don't see this shock and awe that's come from Russia. I think that they've been very methodical. They've targeted military installations, air defense platforms. They've taken airfields and airstrips. It looks like they've mostly gone after military targets. I think the nightmare scenario for them is deciding to get into built-up areas, and we start seeing civilians murdered and the like, which is what they'll do. And this is not a country that's bounded by any rules of law when it comes to how they navigate war. What they did in Syria for the past 8 or 9 years, they're helping that government, was never filmed. We don't really know, and it's likely they did whatever they wanted to do. So not really in the short term. He's going to still use his military and that power to accomplish that objective. And maybe the off ramp is that Kiev does surrender, and maybe he does that very quickly, because that's really the only way. The sanctions that I think the president is talking about are well over the horizon. Good example of American soft power. The bottom line is they're probably a day late and a dollar short.
Yeah, don't seem very powerful. We've got about 30 seconds, General. I was curious, does it appear to you that the president is afraid of a cyber war?
Yeah, as Heather mentioned, our capabilities, I have to be careful what I say here. We have reason to believe that Russia can have an outsized impact on us in the cyber domain and in certain areas, and certainly the president is afraid. I would say.
Is that why he's taking these tepid steps?
Well, no, I think they're just disorganized. I think that they don't have unity of purpose here.
All right, General Anthony Tata, Major Mike Lyons. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.